everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to have you all here with us today.
Tribute. Tribute.
Sorry, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. So it's Wednesday. It's time for our spiritual light show, and uh, it's a different Wednesday for us because our friend Divaldo Franco has been returning to the spiritual world. Uh, Even though for many people don't think like the spiritists don't need to be sad, don't need to cry, don't need. It's no. We have the same feelings. We don't have his presence here. We cannot touch him anymore. We cannot stay with him anymore. So we do feel it, even though we know he's still alive and looking after us from the other side. And based on this, after our introductions here, because today we do have a special guest, our friend Guilherme Diaz. He'll be with us today. Uh, our topic today is also a very important topic. It is between compassion and consequence, a spiritist discussion on euthanasia. And it's a very peculiar topic in which we need to uh, clarify for our friends here who are asking us to touch this point and to comment about what Spiritism says about euthanasia. Okay? So, good evening, Jeremy. Glad to have you here again. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here again. Thank you.
Good, good. My dear Elsa, good evening, my dear.
Good evening, Stevan. Good evening, Guilherme. Good evening, Charles. Good evening, friends that will join us, the ones that are watching on TV, our show. I'm very happy to be here once again. And we can discuss this topic with the heart of love, with no judgment. That's very important. So, I wait your call. Oh, thank you.
Okay. Bonsoir, Charles.
Sorry. Bonsoir, Steven. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Indeed, yes, we are here. We will miss our dear friend Divaldo, but no one is immortal as in the incarnated state. So sooner or later we will have to go back there, but as Elsa told, for sure he will be very active very soon from that realm and continue helping us. And indeed, I mean, this question of passing away, death, is one of the fundamental questions humanity is questioning, and for which Spiritist body of knowledge has quite some inputs to give, because it's spiritualist philosophy, which is exactly studying what happens when we go. And today, tonight, we will touch more in detail what happens in these cases of euthanasia.
Brilliant. Okay. As I said before we start our discussion about today's topic, we have to give our humble thank you to Divaldo. And let me share my screen here that we added to the stage.
To our dear Divaldo Franco. Our spiritual light team would like to express our deepest gratitude to our beloved teacher, Divaldo Pereira Franco, for his unwearying support and for inspiring us to carry out our mission of spreading the teachings of Jesus across our countries. Divaldo was and will always be a shining example of charity, love, and inner strength. He showed us how to remain firm and resilient in the face of life's challenges, always with kindness in his heart and purpose in his actions. We believe with deep spiritual conviction that Divaldo has simply exchanged his earthly garments for robes of light. His spirit remains alive, connected with the heart of the Spiritist movement he so passionately served. His legacy will continue to illuminate our path as it always has. Thank you, dear teacher, for your life of service, wisdom, and love. We will miss you deeply, but we will meet you in our thoughts, our prayers, and our dreams. Bon voyage, mon ami.
Okay, the show must go on. I'm pretty sure you're gonna say it to us. We need to keep going, and we need to do our job, which is here spread the spiritism in English, which is very difficult to find nowadays, and we are doing. He encouraged us to do it, and we will keep doing this. So, first things first, let's go back to our topic here. Um, let me give a brief introduction about our topic today. Uh, my So thank you, Gilson. Thank you, Gilson, for your message. Thank you, Alex Ribeiro. Thank you, Sheila V. Thank you, Chris Page, for your message and your support. So tonight we will explore a topic that stirs deep emotions and raises profound moral and spiritual questions: euthanasia. Under the title Between Compassion and Consequence, a Spiritist discussion on euthanasia, we will reflect on this delicate issue through the light of Spiritist doctrine codified by Allan Kardec, and as Elsa said, without any judgment. We here exclusively will say what is the viewpoint of the Spiritism doctrine or teachings. In the material world, euthanasia is often discussed in terms of mercy, dignity, and the right to end suffering. Yet, Spiritism invites us to consider a broader spiritual perspective, one that views life as sacred, death as a transition, and suffering as an opportunity for moral evolution. Our intention is not to impose judgments, but to promote respectful dialogue, spiritual understanding, and compassion. We encourage open hearts and open minds as we delve into this conversation with humility and reverence for the complexities it brings. So, um, I'd like to start our discussion here and ask my dear friend Charles, how does Spiritism define the purpose of suffering, especially in the final stage of physical life?
Yeah, that is not the easiest question, but thanks anyhow. It's just, how to say, something that we can observe everywhere. As Leon Denis said, wrote, everything suffers in this world. We discussed about suffering last week, very more in depth, and we have seen that pain is unavoidable, but suffering is more a state of mind. There are people with pain who do not suffer, and there are people who suffer even without pain. So um, when we think about, as we explained last week, the pain is really the moments where we mobilize our resources. Pain is even something which is saving our integrity. For instance, you touch something warm, it burns, so you have pain, you immediately remove your hand. If we would not have the pain, maybe we would burn much more severely. So that's an example. So pain is a kind of a natural reaction for saving ourselves from a worse situation. Now, of course, when we talk about pain in human beings, in particular when we get older or when we come closer to the death, medicine is progressing a lot to fight against pain with painkillers or whatever, or even with palliative cares. And this has, of course, to be encouraged and enhanced and developed much more in order to, particularly the palliative cares, which is the best, I would say, that medicine can offer nowadays and can still be improved for preserving as much as possible the quality of life and the dignity when we come closer to death. And that's what Spiritist body of knowledge encourages. Pain is, of course, unavoidable completely, but we should do whatever we can in order to diminish it. And I didn't tell it at the beginning, but in France, it's currently under discussion in the parliament to change the law about this end of life. And one thing everybody agrees is to enhance and to develop the palliative cares. Now, with regards to passive or active euthanasia or assisted suicide, there the debates are much strong, much stronger, and this is what we will explain why here. Everything depends on the point of view. Do we think that when we die everything is finished, or which is a materialist point of view, or do we think we have a soul and when we die the soul gets free from the body? That's a spiritualist point of view. So the key point here is, what is death? What happens when we die? And if, as per the Spiritist body of knowledge has proven it, we have a soul and this soul survived after the death, there is no better way than let's ask to the death through mediumship, communication. Okay, you committed assisted suicide or you suffered euthanasia. What is your opinion now from the other side about this? So this is also what we will develop today.
Good. Thank you, my friend. And Guilherme, since you have experience in mediumistic meetings, I'm pretty sure you have helped or received some communication from spirits who had been through this euthanasia stage. Based on this, is euthanasia considered a form of spiritual interference or liberation for pain within the Spirit's teachings?
Stevan, if I may, I would like to answer that question with another question. Before, I will make a brief explanation. I like very much the scientific side of things, even the scientific side of the Spiritism. Until today, science is not able to confirm the existence or non-existence of life after death. So we are talking about 50-50, even for the materialistic people, because science cannot prove, as yet, there is nothing after death. Science cannot prove, yet, that there is life after death. So anybody that may decide to go on this path needs to be aware of it, that you have a 50-50 chance of finding on the other side what you are expecting. If you expect there is nothing, you may be surprised. If you are expecting there is life after death, and even like that, you decide to go on this avenue, you cannot say, someone lied to me. So this is a kind of thought that's supposed to be spread and analyzed by anyone that decides to go on the avenue, right? Now, to answer your question, I will tell you one thing that has happened in a mediumship meeting of ours. There was a comment after one mediumship meeting that we don't have many cases of euthanasia coming to our mediumship meetings, because we were talking about subjects such as euthanasia on the end. Last week, we've been granted what we were asking. We had 2 spirits who have faced euthanasia. Well, I think a picture can tell way better what we want to say than words sometimes. The first spirit who came to that meeting, he was desperate, in a lot of pain. And she said that I went to another country where this practice is legal. I've paid a lot of money, and I'm still here alive and in pain. Why did the procedure did not work? She started the conversation like that. She wasn't aware that she had really succeeded in the procedure she paid for. But as she was feeling the pain, the original pain she had, and now she was also complaining that the product that she was using to achieve what she wanted was burning through her veins. So now she had a problem of the original cancer that probably was very painful, and now she also felt her veins burning. Second situation, another spirit came. I did not ask for it. They chose for me. And here I am, in a lot of pain. I know I'm dead. My pain is terrible. I did not want to go through this, and I had no choice. I think those 2 events are enough to answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
The little we know may cost us a lot in pain, in time to recover, It doesn't matter in what we believe or we don't believe. The results of the action is the same. It doesn't matter if you choose to go through this or someone chose for you. The results will be the same. Because the laws of the universe are the same. And this is a consequence. So no. To give you a straight answer. This is not something that we are abbreviating the pain of those we love. Actually, without knowing, and again, without judging anyone, as we said more than once here already, we are adding some suffering to those that go through this process. But just as a brief reminder, you that may decide to go on that path, you are gambling 50-50, because the same science that is giving you the support to go on that path, they cannot prove as yet they are right. So we need to think about that. I'm not sure if I answer your question, but I think it was not bad.
No, you answer the questions and you also put a lot of more questions, which is good. Um, the intention here is give the information to everyone we are watching, who are watching us today, and those who will watch us later. We do have a lot of people in our room today. That's brilliant. I'm very glad. And I hope this makes sense to everyone who are listening us today. My dear Elsa,
Yes, I'm here.
would you like to comment Charles and Guilherme answers and point of view?
It's difficult to comment what they said because they know more than me in these questions, especially Guilherme, when they work with the spiritual side. That is really, really a complex thing. But I'd like to bring Joana de Angelis. Joana de Angelis is a mentor of our dear Divaldo Franco that received Divaldo Franco last night, 9:15 Brazil time, on her arms because Divaldo left the physical body. He was in pain, a lot of pain, but never ever thought about euthanasia. That is a suicide. So Joana de Angeli, in the book After the Storm, she defines euthanasia as something purely material. It is, she said, a nefarious practice that testifies to the predominance of the materialistic concept of life, which sees only matter and its immediate implications to the detriment of spiritual realities, also reflecting the sovereignty of animal primitivism in the emotional constitution of humankind, she says. After this explanation, we see that this act may seem quite thoughtful in the eyes of the person from a material point of view, but it is an extremely thoughtless attitude from a spiritual point of view. As Guilherme pointed, the science didn't prove that the soul exists. One part of science, because there is a lot of researchers and people that are working in a new paradigm of science, that is open science. And these more than 200 doctors and researchers, they know that there are something. They know that we are still going on, but they cannot explain how. And the Spiritism explained very well. And I saw that Liz is here, and Liz is studying and talking about this in our groups as well. So, and Joanna de Angeli, continuing quickly, this act, euthanasia, shortens today's suffering that we're talking about, but causes even greater suffering to these spirits throughout their evolutionary journey and contradicts, if necessary, the respect of these people for the laws of God. So, and Lee says, and they may even have the same test pain in their next life as well. But when they commit euthanasia or ask euthanasia or do on themselves, they don't know about the afterlife. Otherwise, they will think more. So this is the task that Spiritist teachings uh, should bring more and more clarification regarding spiritual life, reincarnation, yeah? Because we Spiritists are aware that euthanasia is not a relief. On the contrary, it is the beginning of a great suffering for this spirit. And Guilherme, in practice, in mediumship practice meetings, um, no more than us, because he is living the situation, talking, dialoguing with the spirits that commit euthanasia and see themselves, okay, even worse the situation. Such an act would be inconsequential from what we have learned in our Spiritist philosophy. We are not here simply to spread our opinion. We are, in addition, showing that Spiritism has to tell us about this complex subject. And we have the Spirit book, many questions, especially the question 957 on that we can learn about the suicide, about the spirit in spiritual world, what's going on, questions and answers. Now, a wonderful way to learn, to study this wonderful philosophy that is a science and moral consequences. That's it, Stevan.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. And Joanna de Angel is always sharp on her comments. And
Kardec as well, because the Kardec comments to these questions, 97, 98, I think 99, are amazing. The part that Kardec comments are huge comments, really good.
exactly. So, Charles, Guilherme gave a good example for us from a spirit saying what was the consequences they are suffering in the spiritual world. But let's talk now about reincarnation. How does the concept of reincarnation influence our understanding of euthanasia and its long-term consequences?
It's indeed also a quite complex question on which we do not yet have all the answers for sure. But anyhow, I mean, euthanasia is creating some harm to the physical body and also to the spiritual body. This comes from one of the examples that Guilherme told, and I can testify because I was participating to those meetings when we received through several mediums, by the way, these different mediums, these cases. And as when you harm your spiritual body, you need somehow to repair it. So some relief, some repair can happen in the spiritual world, but a lot of times, most of the cases, the repair comes through a new reincarnation. It is the case of suicide. We have also several examples about that. For instance, there is one book which has been published in the last years, saying that a lady telling her story along her past life, the intermittent period in the spiritual world, and the decision she took when reincarnating is, for instance, she committed suicide by drinking some poison. So it burned somehow the stomach, the digestive system, and she died from it. So her spiritual body was affected through that. And in the next incarnation, she had to bear the consequence of that. In other terms, to repair these damages in the spiritual body, she selected an incarnation where she knew in advance, and her mother as well, who accepted to get her as a child, knew that she would die quite young from a digestive system cancer. So this is the type of consequence that can bring this assisted suicide or euthanasia through the harm caused to the spiritual body. Because the thing is always the following: when we are incarnated, we have some vital fluid or some fuel. Like the car, you have some fuel to go for a given journey. And if you stop the journey having not empty tank, this is creating difficulties in the spirit getting free from the body, and also bringing some consequences to the spiritual body. So for all these reasons, avoiding having these consequences, Spiritist body of knowledge is saying we should, of course, palliative care, painkiller, morphine, or whatever, even some level of what's the name? The name is escaping me now. Sedatives, when the pain is really too high, but not with the intent to shorten the life. Is with the intent to preserve the life quality, But on another hand, so let then the life go until the natural end, because this is then the smoothest possible transition back to the spiritual world. Spiritist body of knowledge is also telling it's not good to shorten artificially this natural deadline. It's also not good to extend it uselessly through therapeutic. I mean, you should not put the machines in order to how to say, to extend the life beyond that natural deadline. Either or is not advisable. So better is to let the life come to his natural end as it was programmed, and which then at the end corresponds to the empty tank, and then to this transition, which is smoother. But of course, it can bring consequences up to the next life.
Thank you, my friend.
Can I add something what Charles was saying?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. I'm remembering Charles, Dr. Hernani Guimarães Andrade. He did a lot of research on reincarnation in Brazil. He worked such a way when Dr. Ian Stevenson went to Brazil to visit Chico Xavier. Guy Leon was there, and the guy and Dr. Hernani Guimarães Andrade were good friends with Chico, and they four together, they have a lot of conversation, and Guy Leon Playfair told me a lot of things. And one of these things are in the book that Guy organized, The Science and the Spirit, that we have in English, we publish here in the UK, with a lot of cases of reincarnation and showing the people before that commit suicide and digesting awful things to kill themselves. Of course, in the next incarnation, they were remembering the past incarnation, what they had done. And in this, the next incarnation, that when he interviewed these people, his children, his problems, his families, etc., revealed, he proved that was the same person that committed suicide. So that they reinforce the situation that we are never, we don't judge. In Spiritism, we judge no one. We respect everything, but it's our turn is to clarify, to show the books that bring cases, and people adore, people love to listen cases, things that in practice happened here on Earth. And this book, Science and Spirit, bring a lot of information. And Dr. Hernani Guimarães Andrade, the most important scientist in Brazil in this topic, reincarnation, died many years ago, almost 20 years ago, but still his legacy in books, in this intervention, in these researches, is still alive for everyone to research, to know that he is a lawful, a respectable scientist, spiritist scientist, that reincarnation is the best thing that can happen in our life. But we have to take care our existence now. Take care now to be to have a good reincarnation next time. Okay.
Yes, and Steven, if you allow me to build a little bit more, what I
Yeah.
just said, the physical things going to the spiritual body and then coming back to the next incarnation. You know, Jens Stevenson was not spiritist, but he showed through the birthmarks, in the case of study of reincarnation, that it is the case. The ones where the person was killed appeared as a birthmark in the next slide. So this is one evidence of this transmission of acts on one life through to the spiritual body and then back to the next life. So we should really think about it. And another important aspect is when talking about pain at the end of life, we have so many examples of people having terminal disease, same type of terminal disease. You see, some are shouting and you see it's very difficult for them. And then you have another person which has exactly the same or very similar terminal disease, which is in peace, in full serenity, keeping faith in God, faith in life, and whatever, building innerly some huge resources in order to cope and even to have a natural painkiller in these same type of situations. So, and nowadays there are hundreds of studies medical studies published in these medical magazines about this subject and showing how some spiritualist or spiritual belief or even religious belief is to say making the life conditions much better in such difficult situations. So it's another way to smoothen this transition.
Guilherme,
Yes.
our friend here, Leonardo Bacarin Pedro, he made a very good question. Allow me to put it here. Am I correct to say that God is not guilty from this decision? Now the spirit will carry this pain, and marks then will be necessary the reincarnation to adjust the spirit?
Please leave the question on the screen because I think there's a lot of thing on this one.
Exactly.
We need first to consider that God does not punish anyone. God is not guilty of anything. And we do have something that is our choice. People call that free will. There is a universal law, the cause and effect, where everything you do or things you decide not to do will generate a counter action. In the case of what we are talking about here, I decide to terminate my life. I decide to terminate my life. So I'm the only one responsible for this decision. Nothing more natural than I am the one to bear the consequences. And where God comes on this equation, He loves us to a degree that He respects our choices. So God has nothing to do with our choices. And as He loves us, He respects our choices. But what happens very often is that we forget that. And as a human beings, we need to find someone to blame. This is very human. So I will blame someone next door. I will blame the system. I will blame my problems. I will blame God. But it was my choice. There are so many degrees, so many different situations. The person could have had some help to come to that conclusion. It's a different scenario. And there are so many different possibilities. But we need to understand He respects our wishes. And He'll be there all the way through to help us to recover from our decisions. But the consequences of our choices, we cannot escape, I'm afraid. Now the Spirit will carry this pain and marks then the necessary reincarnation. It's another law. As Charlie said not long ago, anything I do to my physical body will reflect in my spiritual body, and vice versa. Yes, you can mitigate things that you did in your physical body that reflect in your spiritual body, but you cannot erase everything. It's not an eye for an eye. It's not like I cut my head off, I will be born without head. No. Probably I'll have some problems in my throat, something that will be very hard to eat, to breathe. So it's not an eye for an eye. You can improve, because we always improve when we are incarnated and discarnated. But we cannot erase the consequences or the totality of the consequences of our choices. Reincarnation is a must, because only through reincarnation you are able to rebuild your own spiritual body. You are able to drain things that you're carrying on from past lives. So we cannot avoid that, I'm afraid. So it's better that we choose it right, because again, the consequences of our decisions, of our choices, we cannot avoid. It's coming to us. Leonardo, I hope I have answered your question.
Charles, Elsa, do like to compliment, to say something to Leonardo?
Thinking about here, I will leave Charles to say something that I think about.
Yeah, I mean, Guilherme is fully right. Huh? God has made the natural laws, or the God's law, it's the same expression. And these natural laws are the same for everyone. When we do something which is not in harmony with the natural laws, there is a consequence. And this consequence is whether we are rich or poor or whatever, are the same. What is changing is, in front of our own conscience, the perception of the responsibility we have in front of something wrong we have done. If we have done something wrong knowingly, in a premeditated way, knowing that it is not good and still doing it, when we look ourselves in the mirror in the spiritual world, hey, poor guy, you do not have excuses. You knew about it. Why did you do it? Now the thing is, you have today a lot of people selecting for assisted suicide, euthanasia, whatever, as sometimes advised by the doctors or the physicians or whatever, and thinking, yes, why not, without knowing the reality of the spiritual world. So, of course, they did it with intentions and without knowing the natural laws linked to it. So there, I did something wrong, but I didn't know it was wrong. Now I learned, now I know it is wrong. So the degree of responsibility is much less, and the spiritual consequences are also much less. That needs always to be taken into account.
Thank you, Charles.
I'd like to make us to think about, especially we are always learning together. This participation, conversation, make us reflecting other things as well. And I was thinking here when I read Leonardo, uh, how many past lives we have read had before. Reincarnations, reincarnation, reincarnation. We are so old. We are an old spirit, probably millennia we have. And we're still here learning and discussing about our own free will, our own desire to do this or to do that. We are totally free to do what we want to do, but the consequences are really according to God's law or laws of nature or natural laws are exactly cause and consequence, cause and consequence. I can act again against my life. I can go and do it, but the consequences we will face. No one will face for me. No, neither generations after will face. I am the own generation. Perhaps will be my nephew, probably my grandson or grandchild later on, the past futures, that my grandmother was Elsa and I am still Elsa reincarnated again with the consequences that my action today, my nasty actions today. So we are the ones that prepare our future. God is extremely just as Jan pointed here, justice and love. God is upon us, watching us to be good, to improve ourselves, to make ourselves a better person next incarnation, a better spirit. It's up in our hands. We can do it with our work, our intelligence. Use our body now while we are entirely with the health, good mind, etc., to do things. But some people, they really don't care about life, and the consequences comes. Of course, there will be always someone, a guardian angel, a good spirit, that go and bring you back to your reason, to your life, to your existence. Life, just one. We have just one life, but we have many, many, many reincarnations, many, many, many existences. But the life is immortal. We are immortal beings, and God is eternal being, eternal, not being. Okay?
Good.
Make a confusion, perhaps.
No, it's okay. Um, let me. I was about to say one question, but came up another very good question from our friend Liz Ashley. Uh, Charles, I start with you. We start last question with Guilherme, and then Guilherme and Elsa can complement here. Liz asking, a common scenario now for an individual or families of a relative is this: how to question a DNR. DNR means do not resuscitate decision if you are not sure why a decision about DNR has been made.
Yeah. Again, it's a good question. I mean, you know, medicine today is in its majority following a materialist paradigm. So for them, that is the end of is do not resuscitate. It's the end of everything, but it is not proven. It's a kind of dogma. It's a kind of what to say statement which lacks evidences. On the opposite, the evidences are more and more. Oops, there is something more than just matter in ourselves, and this something more. There are also more and more evidences that it is somehow surviving after the death. So decision of medicine to make active euthanasia, injecting a lethal product, or passive euthanasia when cutting when the ill person cannot eat or drink anymore by itself, just cut the food and the water. Basically, the medicine is sending the person to something they don't know what it is. Would you send your child or someone, a beloved one, mandatorily to somewhere you do not know where you send it, or she or her? It's at minimum, I'd say, a lack of care, we can say, because when you are sure about the result, and there is a lot of such things in the medicine about surgeries and treatments and whatever that are known, can help the people. Here it's a decision to send the people to somewhere that it is not known what it is, or that there is a dogmatic position about what it is, and also not willing to listen the arguments of other spiritual movements, as the Spiritist body of as the Spiritism and the Spiritist body of knowledge, saying, "Hey guys, take care because uh, there is something else in us, and the death is not the end of everything." So what we want is to care about the soul, about the spirit. This one is immortal. The body, no, we know that sooner or later we have to leave to give it back to the earth, to recycle, whatever. But the soul, this is what we keep. So the focus should be the soul before anything, and not the body, not the physical body. Should be the immortal things, what we keep with us forever, and not what we have to give back anyhow. And by changing this point of view, a lot of things will, of course, change. And it's very difficult to make a decision on this. In France, we have also what we call the anticipated directives, where you fill in a paper what you want and what you don't want in these moments. So there are two sections. One section when you are still healthy, and there is another section that you can complete when you start, for instance, when you know that you have a disease that has no cure and that will lead you to death. And there, very clearly, I said, don't kick my spirit out of my body. Let it go out naturally. Let my spirit, my soul, the time to go out of the body. Of course, you can do painkiller, even if the painkiller has also sometimes a lethal effect. If the pain is too much, you have to treat the pain. There is no choice. But nothing to high level sedatives or morphine or whatever to anticipate it. And then on top of the communications Guilherme informed, I can also bring one from my mother. So my sister was there when she had a general infection, so there was absolutely no chance to survive or whatever. And she somehow accepted. I wasn't there. That's my fault at that moment. And they decided to start this protocol, which is legal in France, to give this high level sedatives and morphine. When I saw it, I didn't want to do a scandal. Okay, I just was there in prayer and so on. And my mother came after one. it went too quickly. I'm still in trouble. I had no pain. Huh? So that's another very strong argument for clearly stating now. Let's think about and let's state now what we want and what we don't want.
Stevan, DNRs is a personal choice, I believe. I don't think someone can sign a DNR for you. It's a personal choice. As it is a personal choice, is your free will in action. So you are responsible for the consequences. But I want to throw a different point of view here. Who can write in a paper that this person will not recover? Who can tell that this physical body is beyond repair? Because we saw things that the medicine believed was no return, and the person is still here. So imagine the responsibility of who chose NDR, who incentives NDR, who decide to unplug equipment, and else. The responsibility is there. And we are responsible for things we do and things we don't do. So consequences of our responsibilities and our choices will return to us in a way or another. So I'm saying that to allow people to think twice before they decide something they may not be able to change in a blink of an eye. Think first. It's very easy to sign a paper, do not resuscitate. What about if you had to go through this as part of your learning curve, your learning process? You don't know. I believe that if you do have a chance to promote life, it becomes your duty. It's like a doctor. You know, why we become doctors? I'm not a doctor, by the way, right? But why we become doctors? To save lives. Not the other way around. If still there is a possibility of saving someone, do it. Of course, like Charles said today, there are things you really cannot, right? And then something else. But we need to think about that. I would like to share with you something that also marked me a lot in one of the leadership meetings. We know that every person that goes through this process arrives on the other side in pain, period. We spoke about that here. On the leadership meeting, we do have mechanisms that, depending on their authorization, the high authorization, if I may say like that, you can alleviate a certain degree of that pain. In one meeting, one spirit, after being treated, helped, was begging us to tell everyone not to do it. How can we do that? Will people listen to us? But one thing is certain: the consequences of this act. Doesn't matter in what you believe, what you don't believe, you will find out. And this spirit is still wave in my mind from time to time. Tell everybody not to do it. Do something. And I don't have an answer for that. but it's something that perhaps what we're doing here is a beginning. Who knows, or is helping, or will help someone that's thinking about it. Let's hope so.
We have no right to shorten life in any situation, any format, or this when this right here, the second case, we are not in right to do that. Never. Only in God's hand. As a young said here, Givaldo was really diagnosed 20 years ago that he was about really to die, and still alive until 98 years old. So we have to wait our natural time to go, natural death, but never, never shorten. Only because someone will be a burden in my family, it's better that he cut his life, yeah, before the end. No, we are not the right to do that. Never. We are murderers if you do that.
Okay. We are 5 minutes already over. You know, and I knew it. Um, Chris Page, she said, can we question about those who are responsible for the NR instruction for assisted that like a relative, please? Chris, I will not ask the comments for my colleagues here, but I believe you may have your answer already. Is the consequence. You know, everyone has your free will, and uh, we need to deal with.
Stevan, let me jump on this one.
Yes.
We are responsible for everything we do in our lives and everything we don't do in our lives. If in any moment in time you decide to give a lecture promoting this mechanism, you become responsible for those who are listening to your lecture. Of course, your burden may not be the same of the one doing it, but to a certain degree, you're also responsible. If you are responsible of not saying anything when someone asks your opinion, you're also responsible. Perhaps a positive word from your mouth would help that person not to commit this particular act. So we cannot escape in life of consequences. The point is, make a good one. Because whoever promote, vote, defend, and do such a thing has a little share in this final result. There is no other way. There's no other way.
Yes. Thank you, Guilherme. Let me go through here.
Yes. The doctor will be guilty as well before God's eyes.
Okay, let me share my screen as we go to the announcements. So, next week, our special guest is Dana Sisi, and the topic is the law of liberty and the modern quest for freedom, boundaries, rights, and spiritual responsibility. It's a great topic as well. And so, in beginning of June, we will have our 8th European Spiritist gathering, and 4 of us will be in Finland in person, meeting other 30 guests. We are already enrolled and sharing the knowledge, exchange experience. So it's gonna be an amazing event, and I invite you to reach out to Pekka if you do want to go, because I believe we still have some available places. Okay. So we will have the International Spirit Congress Joana de Angelis also in September. Here you find the link to enroll yourself. Our friend Silvia Gibbons is one of the speakers. Our friend Humberto Coelho, is his time now to talk about Ernesto Bozano. His talk is now on the 1st of June, and his topic is about human metaphysics. If you want to be up to date with the Spiritism in English news, please subscribe to the Spiritist Radar. You'll find these on the Spiritist Institute. It's run by our friend Dana Sisi. For our young friends, Solidarity Group does have a young group running every Thursday from 6:45 p.m. 7:45 p.m. London time. Everyone is more than welcome to join, to talk, and it's gonna be good to share this with you all. If you can contact our Solidarity friends, they can give you the link in order to attend this meeting. Also, now on the 24th of May, we will have the Spiritist Education with Cristina Artuso. Is an event in London dedicated to explore the world of Spiritist education for kids. It's very important looking after these generations upcoming. Different ideas, different mind, and we need to work with them. Please subscribe to Spiritist Magazine. Thank you for your attention. And thank you, Kardec Radio, for giving us this space in their programming to allow us to talk about Spiritism. So, Guilherme, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your wonderful contribution in the meeting. Charles, merci. It's always good to have you here, my friend. Elsa, thank you. And I want to give my I wasn't here last week, but it was the last week our friend Silvia was among us. She now is starting a course and she cannot attend on Wednesdays anymore. But we kindly said to her once she finished, she must come back. Very kind, no obligation. But I want to say to you, Silvia, in public here, thank you very much for all those years you contributed with us. You gave your support, you gave your ideas, agreeing, disagreeing, giving your opinion is always wonderful to have you. And I'm very proud to say I do have you as my friend. Thank you so much, Silvia, for all your contributions. So, we had today more than 30 people live, online. So it's going to be human possibly to say thank you to everyone, every name we have here. So everyone who put your questions, who make your comments, thank you so much for sharing your ideas. Thank you for being with us. Please spread the word. Thank you. I will not nominate each one of you guys because this is going to take another 10 minutes here. Okay, and we are already 30 minutes over. But we cannot leave without. I can see here some people are asking us to play the video for Divaldo again. So I will play the video. I will remove everyone from the screen. I will leave only the video here. So, D, look after us. Thank you.
Bless.
Tribute to our dear Divaldo Franco. Our spiritual light team would like to express our deepest gratitude to our beloved teacher, Divaldo Pereira Franco, for his unwearying support and for inspiring us to carry out our mission of spreading the teachings of Jesus across our countries. Divaldo was and will always be a shining example of charity, love, and inner strength. He showed us how to remain firm and resilient in the face of life's challenges, always with kindness in his heart and purpose in his actions. We believe with deep spiritual conviction that Divaldo has simply exchanged his earthly garments for robes of light. His spirit remains alive, connected with the heart of the Spiritist movement he so passionately served. His legacy will continue to illuminate our path as it always has. Thank you, dear teacher, for your life of service, wisdom, and love. We will miss you deeply, but we will meet you in our thoughts, our prayers, and our dreams. Bon voyage, mon ami.